It's nearly midday. Joe Brand is nearly an hour and a half late. What could be the reason? Could it be that she simply forgot and went shopping instead? No, she's far too professional for that. We'll find out when she walks through that door between now and Christmas.
Paul, honestly, I'm so sorry.
Joe, how
I feel
are you?
really awful about it.
What happened? What happened?
I don't know if I can bear to tell you. You
Tell
might
me.
just automatically punch me.
Tell me.
I didn't look in my diary last night. And I went shopping.
Where were you when
in
you
John Lewis, looking at the fridge. Honestly, how can I make it up to you? I really, really feel so awful about it. I'm sorry.
Now, obviously, you know, it's very hard for me to talk about politics in this show because I'm a pathetic girlie and we don't know anything about it. So, you know, trouble brewing up in Iraq, that's not going to get the washing up done or the beds made, is it? No.
So, can you remember your first gig at the Comedy Store?
I can remember it very vaguely because I was quite drunk, which was my way of dealing with nerves, really.
Okay.
I think what I really remember about it is doing the first late show, really, and just feeling like I was in a war zone. It was just a very kind of testosterone-filled atmosphere, a very drunk audience, and just, like, really terrifying.
I don't know if women got... I wouldn't say we got treated worse, but it was as hard. It was different. It was different, certainly. Insofar as it's always been the same, I presume it still is, that if you get heckled as a woman, it's going to be about your appearance. It's not often, you know, you're not funny. I have to say, if it gets into you're not funny, you're in really, really big trouble.
I made the very serious mistake the other night of phoning up my local cab firm, South London Liars. And it's not fair, because I'm telling them the truth now. You know, I rang them up and said, can you send round a big, fat, racist bastard, please? With a personal hygiene problem. Sometime before I have my menopause.
Jo came along at a really good time for me, actually. She was the big, massive boot up the arse that I needed. A lot of us, before Jo went on stage, almost apologising as we went, so saying, sorry, I won't take more than 5 minutes. I know that, this is, you know. Then I remember watching Jo thinking, right, OK, you've got to raise your game here.
Tell us about the dressing room. We're going to have a look at it. Tell us about what you remember of it.
There's the dressing room. There's the toilets. As far away as you can be in 2 points in this bit, with the dressing room and the toilets. If someone's on stage, you've been on stage, you're a compere, or someone's on stage, it's actually bad manners to walk through the room. Do you know what I mean? Because people might turn around. You don't want. If I'm on stage, I don't want to see you walking. Yeah,
because the focus, attention will be taken as you're walking through.
It's bad manners. So therefore, out of politeness, you have to piss in the sink.
Out of sheer good manners.
It would have been rude not to.
Did you ever use the sink?
Of course I've used the sink.
Oh, all the girls used the sink, definitely. I mean, the boys obviously did, and the boys didn't even need to clear it out.
You used to watch new comics come in, they go, hello, I've just done an open spot. And, you know, they got red cheeks and stuff, and they'd swill themselves in the sink, and all the old comics would sort of stand there going, well, I've seen Joe Brand piss in it, I've seen Josie Lawrence piss in it, you know, but you never say anything.
No.
Oh, God, it's lovely in here, isn't it?
It wasn't a kind of easy sink to piss in, to be honest, because it was kind of fairly small and not particularly, it was quite high up as well. But anyway, it was preferable to going all the way through the crowd and queuing up with everyone in the public toilets.
The worst thing as well was sort of, if you hadn't had a particularly good gig, you had two options. You'd dive back into the dressing room and wait until the last person had left the building, and then you'd creep out. Or you'd sort of have to brave that horrible long walk, the corridor of shame to the door, and then get out and escape.
The most punishing part of being at the store was actually having to confront the audience after you've been on, because there's no back door. You've got to walk back through the audience, and there were more than one occasion when I actually put on my full-face motorbike helmet and before I left the actual dressing room, and said, see you guys, having died a death. And sort of walking through, mumbling, you know, pizza, on my way out, and having to listen to people saying, that bloke was terrible, wasn't he? Because it really, when you've died on stage, having gone on to make people laugh and been booed off, you just don't want to show your face to anyone.
It's enormous fun, isn't it, watching somebody really suffer?
I'm afraid it is, yeah. It's only because it's so great that it's not happening to you.
Ah, what a lovely look! Oh my God! I love all you lot here. You're great, you are, mate. All right. And that's my impression of you in about an hour.
I remember a woman came up once and asked me, she said, I've lost my contraceptive pills. So if anyone's got them, can you ask her? And I did, and someone did have them. And then I slept with that woman later on that night.
And did she have the contraceptive pills?
And I now have a small child.
And the great thing about stand-up is you got your social life tied in.
Yes.
You didn't have to go to work and then go out to play. You did your work and you sort of played as you were working and then you all went out afterwards. It was fantastic.
Now, this is the back bar where all the comics used to congregate.
People would come down there after their gigs and sort of say what kind of night they'd had, and they'd watch the comic that was on.
Because you could actually, at the end of the night, because no one was eating, because you were doing a gig, and then at the end of the night you could actually get some decent grub, you know, the cook would sort of cook some stuff up.
Everyone came down to the back bar. The back bar would be full of comics who'd been having gigs at other places, who'd come in for a drink and to catch up with everyone.
It was just a nice kind of social place to be, really. It was the place where I first saw Eddie Izzard in women's clothing, for example, and I think that was where he did actually choose to kind of let everyone know he was a transvestite.
In heels as well, yeah. Yes, I'm a professional transvestite, so I can run about in heels and not fall over, because, you know, if women fall over wearing heels, that's embarrassing, but if a bloke falls over wearing heels, then you have to kill yourself, you know? It's end of your life. It's quite difficult.
I remember once doing a show here and a guy coming up to me and saying, I'm a producer from television and I'm producing Tarby After 10. Do you want to be on it? And me said, I don't know. And he said, oh, OK. I thought, I've seen you do really well, you know, with your 200 people, and I just wondered if you thought you could do it in front of 8 million people on television, but if you don't think you can. And I thought, no, sod it. And I went and I did Tarby After 10.
Now, I got a cab home from the West End to where I live in Hackney. It's about a half-hour journey. Arrived there, it's quite late. I said, oh, it's lovely, mate, thanks very much. How much is that? And he said, how much do you usually pay? So, well, I usually get a bus, mate. It's 40 pence. Thanks very much.
And that went out on a Thursday night. I remember it was at 10 o'clock on a Thursday night. And I remember doing the store and walking in there on the following Saturday. And bless their hearts, Mark Steele and Jeremy Hardy got up and walked out. We're going to the back bar.
I think that might be slightly embellished, but I'm not sure.
Well, that's what Bob told me.
That might be slightly embellished.
As in they weren't there and they didn't get up and leave.
And he wasn't on Tarby
After 10.
And his name's not Bob Mills.
I remember him being on Tarby After 10. There was a thing around at the time that actually what we were doing was new and exciting and had some integrity.
Yeah.
Whether that was true or not, I don't know, but that was the feeling of it. And that somehow people like Tarby represented this old guard of just reactionary bollocks. And, you know, there he'd be doing his gigs at the Tory party and all of that.
And also he hadn't asked us to do it either.
No, he hadn't. We hadn't turned him down, Kevin. No, that's what we said.
Obviously, rivalry between stand-up comics is natural. They all hate each other. But with the Comedy Store players, it's different. It's a team effort. It has to be like that with impro. What do you think other comics think about the impro shows?
I'm not sure. It used to be that they didn't really reckon impro at all. I think it's a weird thing. People from the theatre go, "Oh, it's not really improvisation," and it's comedy. And you talk to comedians and they go, "Well, it's got nothing to do with comedy. It's theatre." So really, we're the bastard child of theatre and comedy.
I think the thing is about impro and comics is comics are suspicious of impro because with impro you get given credit for invention on the spot.
Yeah.
The audience are prepared to go with you and go, that's great, they did that out of thin air.
Yeah.
And a lot of comics, myself included, sit there and go, why don't you write a fucking joke?
And do you feel happy about this party, Paul? Do you feel happy in yourself?
I do feel happy within myself about this party.
Good.
So far...
Oh, sorry, wrong bell.
Excuse me, there's somebody at the microwave.
what's the appeal of doing the Comedy Store Players? The improv thing every week. Why do it?
Because when it's working, and it works a lot down here, it's the most amazing thing in all the world. And I think after 19 years...
Sorry, the most amazing thing in all the world?
Oh, for God's sake, is he going to do this to me all the time?
Ross was very pleased to see him use a ladle to ease his testicles onto the table.
They're in awe. They've never seen such
testicles before. Three in one pat.
If you watch from the side and when people are laughing, then their bodies, you're physically just moving backwards and forwards as one. And Don was saying it doesn't happen on any other night. It only happens on the Players when it's really sort of, you know, cooking and really going well.
Absolutely. And you can sort of see it's the first time I've understood punchline, really, is you can see a whole audience suddenly double up.
Yes.
As one. It'd be great just to see what that would look like with no sound on it, because it must look bizarre. People just there and
yes.
they go. It's just the weirdest thing.
So, Josie, why aren't women funny?
Because we have breasts.
Yeah. Before we leave the second Comedy Store, let's revisit an old problem of the dressing room being too far away from the toilets.
This is rather a special place.
Yeah.
Shall we go?
Yeah, have a look.
You might be very amused. I popped down to that store today, and it's now a nightclub, and I went to the door, which leads to that dressing room, and you open up the door, and you'll never guess what's behind it.
What?
Two ladies' loos.
No!
Yes!
Outrageous.
And it's knocked a wall down, and it's the state of the art.
How delightful to hear that now after so many years.
You're joking?
No, seriously.
She fitted some loos.
It is now the toilet.
Yes.
Well, that's wonderful because it's found its spiritual home.
Show business rule number 5 states, once your dressing room's turned into a toilet, it's time to move on. And to be fair, Don needed to find bigger premises. The audiences here were packed in. He needed somewhere bigger. So he said goodbye to the second Comedy Store here in Leicester Square and moved over to the third Comedy Store on the other side of the square in Oxenden Street, which is where I'm going now.
Something familiar, something peculiar, something for everyone, a comedy tonight.
What took you so long? Shall we go in? After more than 20 years, The Gong Show has recently returned to the Comedy Store. Once a month, anyone can come along and risk ritual public humiliation. All right, so how many people have we got down to do it tonight?
Tonight we've got 30, but that could deplete or
Yes.
increase depending on if people bottle out or if there's people in the audience that are desperate to go on. We throw it open.
OK, so what are the common mistakes that people make?
Not bringing jokes.
Not bringing jokes,
Yeah,
OK.
that's always a good one. Thinking of a comedy name.
Yes.
That's not good. There's some classics this evening. Mr. Persevere.
Persevere?
Yes. And pretty much anyone with one name.
Right.
As a comedy name, like Bob.
Yes.
That's never good.
Let's run through the list of names here and just see the sort of people, how you think they'll do tonight.
Well, this evening we've got some strong people who I think will do quite well, and they actually want to be part of the business. We've got a guy called Tien and Dweeb. He's quite good, he's quite solid. And there's a guy, Jerry Daly. They're all quite good, but they're yet to break into sort of doing our weekend shows.
I'm looking forward to it immensely.
I am as well.
Please welcome to the stage loudly your host of Compare for the evening, Mr. Roger Monkhouse!
Thank you for your enthusiasm, ladies and gentlemen, particularly yours, sir, who clapped just that little bit longer, just enough to make it slightly embarrassing. Welcome.
These days, the contestants have to try and stay on the stage as long as they can. But if they get 3 red cards from the audience, they'll be gonged off.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the first of 1,001 contestants at the very start of a fucking long night. It's Elaine Bernstein!
Elaine Bernstein! Hooray! Please be good!
I was feeling really awful this morning, so I went to see a shrink. Now I'm even smaller.
Elaine Bernstein.
47 seconds.
That's out 70p. Dizzy high, ladies and gentlemen.
51 seconds.
51 seconds from Dizzy High. Christine Edwards.
35 seconds.
Jason Cavan. Please welcome to the stage Joel Elnow. Here he comes.
Oh, fantastic. All bets are off.
I like it.
I really need a toilet, actually. There's never a disabled toilet when you need it, is there? You know what I mean? And disabled toilets don't work. I was at this hotel last night.
17 seconds.
So we got a new loser?
Yeah.
Oh, he's in pole position, ladies and gentlemen.
Everyone just walks around and they hold hands with each other, yeah? So I thought, OK, I'll try this out. So on the way here, yeah, I tried to hold this guy's hand. So I'm like that, and he went, sorry, darling, I'm trying to drive the bus. That's fucking funny. No, wait! I paid 20 quid for a babysitter tonight, so fucking listen up. All right. OK.
Tash Alexander.
Don't say anything.
Go on, Tash.
Don't say anything.
With her memorable punchline, shut up, this is funny, right? Do feel free to be as cruel as you choose as you welcome to the stage our next contestant, Mr. Jerry Daly.
Jerry Daly, Man Mountain. Look at him go. There he is.
Good evening. How you doing? I've only got one bit of advice for you. I've just got to say this. Never buy second-hand swimming trunks. That's it. I bought a pair, got in the pool, and the bastards split down the centre, right? So I covered up, as you would. Now, bearing in mind I'm in the shallow end, where the children are.
Two red cards, 3 red cards, Mr. Jerry Daly.
Teetering very close to the wooden spoon, yet 19 seconds.
So he's not the loser, ladies and gentlemen. And we can only speculate as to what the punchline to that routine might have been.
I felt that Jerry could do better with a little bit of encouragement, so 3 days later he came back to the store to firstly relive the experience. We were down here on Monday filming the Gong Show. You were on. How did it go from your point of view?
I think the first 20 seconds was interesting, and that was it, really. I didn't do very well. I was hopeful to do a lot better, because I have done.
Shall we have a look at it? Shall we have a look at what you did?
By all means.
I mean, are you OK watching yourself back?
Yes.
It won't take long, as you know.
I've only got one bit of advice for you. I've just got to say this. Never buy second-hand swimming trunks. That's it.
No, you say the thing about the swimming trunks, and then you paused, and you looked at the audience, and you didn't get the response you wanted.
Yeah.
And then you sort of went, oh, OK. And as soon as they saw that...
That's it. That's the gap. That's the thing that basically lost the whole caper for me, really.
Yeah.
Any pause, any gap, any hesitation where there's just no laughter, that's the point we think, what's he going to say? Nothing? Oh, that's it. Get rid of him. And that's it. So it's my fault 100% with that.
So what gigs have you got coming up?
I've got some corporate thing tonight
Right.
that I'm doing for a mate of mine for the handsome price of nothing.
Yeah.
And then I can't think. I've got King's Head in North London next week.
You got anything on Saturday?
Nothing Saturday, no.
Do you fancy coming down here on Saturday and doing the midnight show for doing 5 minutes?
Absolutely.
Do
yes.
you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you going to be down here filming it?
That'd be fine. I'm seething to get back here. Absolutely seething to get back and give a proper, maybe last a whole 45 seconds this time.
Well, I'm not talking about the Gong Show, though. I'm talking about...
I'm extremely eager to get my arse back here and do 5 minutes of proper stuff and give a better account of myself.
There's nothing comics hate more than getting advice from other comics about their act. But because I'm on the telly, Jerry listened to me politely. There's one thing I just noticed on that tape there, that when you came on, you grabbed the microphone out of the stand, and then you immediately walked back.
Right.
And that's like, I think, just the body language, like saying to the audience, like, I'm a little bit nervous of you. I'm back here, and whereas perhaps, and you do this entirely in your own way if you think it's a good idea, is if you come on, you grab the mic and just put the stand, if you're going to get it out of the way, just put it there. Because on Saturday you won't be introduced particularly as an open spot, you'll just be introduced as the next guy on.
Yep.
So they don't know any different. So I think it is just that case of just coming on and just saying, OK, I'm here, I deserve to be here, this is my space for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, I see.
What do you look for in a new comedian?
I want to see something original. Originality is so important, you know. I mean, if you're going to just stand up there and do lines, you're not going to get anywhere. You've got to be different.
Let's hear it for the beer! All hail to the ale!
I remember meeting up with Al Murray, first of all, in Cologne. He started off with his impressions. He said, here's one. Some of the older people might remember. It's the Sten gun. For the connoisseur, the Bren gun. He went through all these voices, all these things. Then we cut to here, when he came here and he did the Al Murray, the pub landlord.
The Germans eat sauerkraut. That says to me they hate themselves and want to die. Did you know? You know there's no German word for happy. That's a fact. But 29 different words for poison gas.
Within 3 minutes, it was pretty evident that it was not going to work. And they just hooted the pub landlord off. There was no way, shape or form where they're going to have this character, the pub landlord. And I said to Al, you know, I said, you're wasting your time with that. Go back to the guns. Terrific, terrific. Pub landlord, time, gentlemen, please. Nothing, nothing. No, you've got no hope with that. So what do I know about comedy?
Yes. As you can hear, there's a lot of people behind me now who are desperate to be in television. And why not? It's a wonderful, wonderful place where everybody loves each other. But I'm very worried about our guy tonight. I don't know how he's going to do, because I think they're a very sort of noisy, aggressive Saturday night crowd, and I don't think he's used to that. So I'm actually a bit worried for him, I have to say, at this point.
There's something inside me that makes me heckle.
I would heckle definitely if it was bad, and throw things possibly.
I'd heckle if it was bad. It's part of the fun to get into it and
They put themselves up there, don't they? So they've got to accept that, you know, people have opinions.
Yeah.
That's how they earn their keep, so that they deserve it.
Yeah, I'd have a little heckle. It's always fun, isn't it, to have a shout at a guy out there.
I don't want to, but I find myself shouting things out. Like, get off, and you're rubbish. They're my favourite two. They're not great, but, you know, I like them.
Right, folks, is everyone OK? Take your seat, madam. Take your coat off, it's nice and warm.
Go on, Baldy!
I'm not bald, mate. I was born totally bald, and I think it's grown back quite well. So fuck you and the mopeds you drove here on.
We can hear the crowd out there. We're in the dressing room. This is the first time you've ever been to a midnight show?
Yes.
And what do you think of it so far?
It's a different kind of rowdiness. I think they've come in drunk, or you know. It seems to be extremely rowdy. I think we've got another half hour before the show starts, so yeah, it should be interesting.
Are you looking forward to it?
Yes, but pensive. This is good. About it.
Jerry Daly.
Good evening! So, one question. Is anybody in debt tonight? Yes. I'm with MasterCard. Anybody owe MasterCard money in the house? Whoever called them MasterCard weren't kidding, because they become your master, and you become basically Gollum running around after them. I got a shitty letter off them. It turned me schizophrenic. Not MasterCard. They're my friends. They hate you. No, they don't. MasterCard looks after me now. Why don't you pay him back the £8,000? I'm not listening. I'm Jerry Daly, thank you. God bless you, good night.
One more time, Jerry Daly, first time you're here.
Well done.
Hello. Now, Sarah, sorry, the lady...
How was that? Was that all right? How'd you feel?
It was just the result I was looking for.
Yeah, great.
If I get struck by lightning, I'll never do another gig again. If this is the last thing I can remember about ever doing stand-up here, then that would suit me fine. Yeah, I could quit tomorrow.
Tragically, that was Jerry's last interview. When he left the Starlight Night, he was indeed struck by lightning. He thought he was having his photograph taken.
Ouch.
The idea that 25 years after the Comedy Store opened, someone like Jerry, who worked in a factory, can get up on stage and be a comedian for 5 minutes is a testament to the ethos of the Comedy Store, established by its original founders. A nightclub owner and a life insurance salesman decide to open up a comedy club. Why not?
And of course, one's got to give credit to the chutzpah, the absolute cheek of Peter Rosengard, this life insurance salesman. He had no acts in the opening night, and all these actors, egotists, eccentrics, madmen, socialists, political theatre.
Tell me about the big picture of Robin Williams. When you go down the steps,
oh yeah, I took that one night.
Sees
Robin and I were hanging out.
I've always admired that picture. As you go down, to Pete and Don, thanks for the break, signed Robin Williams.
Yeah, I wrote that.
You wrote that?
I took the photograph.
And he was there?
I think I wrote to Don and Pete, thanks for giving me my big break.
Yeah, yeah.
That was me.
We've come to that point where most documentaries like this wheel out a selection of talking heads who are there simply to say something profound about the subject matter. A lot of shows that do this kind of thing do have the blue screen effect, you know, where you're sitting there, we can put anything behind you. What I'm thinking of, I don't know if it's going to work, it's sort of like maybe start off with something normal like Leicester Square behind you.
Hawaiian Beach I wanted, that's what I asked for.
Well, I was thinking of a polar bear walking through the Antarctic, just behind you.
Yeah.
You happy with that?
I'm happy to go along with that. And could it then be followed by a chaffinch in a library?
A chaffinch in a library?
Yeah, would that be good?
So what do you think, Clive, was the significance of the Comedy Store?
Well, it's... What does Chairman Mao say about the French River? It's too early to say. Or, I think I'm working towards the answer is I don't know.
It was as good as a comedy setup as you've ever had in this country, maybe anywhere.
I'm trying to think of a significance.
I invented everything.
Yes.
I started everything.
There were no jokes before you.
There were no jokes before me. I was the best ever. And I invented everything again.
This chaffinch, what's it doing?
There's a library behind you, there's the polar bear.
Oh, the polar bear's ambling across slowly.
The significance of the Comedy Store to me was it always had an incredibly powerful image, and it was most comics' kind of mecca in a way. It was the place that they wanted to do and the place that they wanted to be able to play.
It was very, very important for me to be performing here, and performing here well.
Yeah.
And it was the place to be seen, it probably still is, I'm sure, you know. Yeah. But, I mean, fantastic. And it was very good to me. Very good to me. And a wonderful experience and something that I would not have been without, actually.
There was comedy pre-war and comedy post-war.
Yeah, yeah.
And the war juggled people up and they put them into concert parties and they took them out of one place and they all joined. This was a way of doing that same process, only we didn't have all that nasty business of fighting, killing people. So it's like the war, only with no deaths.
In 1990, Frank Sinatra was at Ibrox Park, and I was picked to be his support act, which was bizarre, and there was 10,000 people there.
Paul, honestly, I'm so sorry.
Joe, how
I feel
are you?
really awful about it.
What happened? What happened?
I don't know if I can bear to tell you.
Tell
You
me.
just automatically punched me.
Tell me, tell me.
I didn't look in my diary last night. And I went shopping.
Where were you when
in
you...
John Lewis, looking at the fridge. Honestly, how can I make it up to you? I really, really feel so awful about it. I'm sorry.
Now, obviously, you know, it's very hard for me to talk about politics in this show because I'm a pathetic girlie and we don't know anything about it. So, you know, trouble brewing up in Iraq, that's not going to get the washing up done.
It's always been the same, I presume it still is, that if you get heckled as a woman, it's going to be about your appearance. It's not often, you know, you're not funny. I have to say, if it gets into you're not funny, you're in really, really big trouble.
I made the very serious mistake the other night of phoning up my local cab firm, South London Liars. And it's not fair, because I'm telling them the truth now. You know, I rang them up and said, can you send round a big fat racist bastard, please? With a personal hygiene problem. Sometime before I have my menopause.
Jo came along at a really good time for me, actually. She was the big, massive boot up the arse that I needed. A lot of us, before Jo went on stage, almost apologising as we went, so saying, sorry, I won't take more than 5 minutes. I know that, this is, you know. Then I remember watching Jo thinking, ah, right, OK, you've got to raise your game here.
Tell us about the dressing room. We're going to have a look at it. Tell us about what you remember of it.
There's the dressing room. There's the toilets. They're as far away as you can be in 2 points in this bit, with the dressing room and the toilets. If someone's on stage, you've been on stage, you're a compere, or someone's on stage, it's actually bad manners to walk through the room.
And all the beds made, is it? No.
So, can you remember your first gig at the Comedy Store?
I can remember it very vaguely because I was quite drunk, which was my way of dealing with nerves, really. Okay. I think what I really remember about it is doing the first late show, really, and just feeling like I was in a war zone. It was just a very kind of testosterone-filled atmosphere, a very drunk audience, and just, like, really terrifying.
I don't know if women got... I wouldn't say we got treated worse, but it was as hard. It was different. It was different, certainly. Insofar as it's all...
It's nearly midday. Jo Brand is nearly an hour and a half late. What could be the reason? Could it be that she simply forgot and went shopping instead? No, she's far too professional for that. We'll find out when she walks through that door between now and Christmas.